Hello again, Douglas Watkins here, High School Science Curriculum Specialist. Going through the remote learning adaptations for Chem, Physics, and Earth Science with you in this course. You should have just watched the welcome video, and we are now moving on to the virtual adaptations resources. Within this folder you'll find several links, and we'll just go through them one at a time. First up, I'm going to ground our work in the culturally responsive education mindset, educator mindsets, and there's a link just to refamiliarize yourselves with this information. Of course it doesn't show up there, so let me show you here. That link should be working when you're in the course. So our educator mindsets for culturally responsive education include your responsibility or my responsibility, the self, global context, building relationships, high expectations, and learning conditions. And so in Denver Public Schools, culturally responsive education includes educators cultivating meaningful relationships with students and families, consistently communicating high expectations and empowering students to drive their learning, facilitating rigorous instruction that validates and authentically incorporates students' lived and historical experiences in order to help all students succeed and become socially conscious, contributing individuals. Let's start off with the high school science virtual adaptation considerations. So you'll find this document right here. I'm going to view it for recording purposes in its own separate tab, so that way I can make it a little larger. So this document has these four major areas: systems considerations, unit level planning, daily instructional considerations, as well as culturally responsive education. I'll focus this video and this course in Schoology on unit level planning and daily instructional considerations. So when preparing to plan for your first unit of instruction, especially for earth science, physics, and chemistry courses with relation to this Schoology course here, and the virtual adaptations that we've made available or are making available, a great place to start is going to be with the Colorado academic standards for each of the courses. And so I suggest you follow this link here. And I'd like to just provide you with an overview of how this link is used, or how this sheet is used. We're going to focus in this course on physics, but the same thought process and structure follows for the chemistry and earth science work that we've done as well. So in DPS, the sequence of Colorado academic standards related to physical science in what would normally be a physics course are listed in column A. Column B identifies the standard where the semester where each of these standards is typically sequenced. So there's only two semesters going to be in this column, so semester 1 or 2. And as you can see, they kind of follow the numerical sequence of the Colorado academic standards, with semester 1 being mostly up here, and then GRE 1, an overlap in GRE 5, and then GRE 6 mostly concentrating on semester 2. Column C, also designed to help you with your planning, identifies the DPS semester and course final assessment location for those standards. S being standing for a semester assessment and the C being the course final. Those assessments will still be available this year, and that's normally a school-based decision whether you use them. You'll see, for internalization purposes, it kind of helps if you're going to start with the standards to also know if you're going to be using those assessments as well. GRE 1, A, B, and C, all sequenced in DPS for the first semester, has questions on the semester and the course final. The rest of the standards are assessed only on the course final at the end of course. So GLE 5A and B, GLE 6A, C, and D. The next column identifies where in the district-wide available physics course in Schoology, and a huge shout out goes to the Denver Online High School science teachers Erica McIntosh and Susan Nelson for making their work available to us district-wide. We've started with the course shell that they've been using at Denver Online High School, and I'll take you through some of the identification of adaptations for those courses to be used by anyone in the district. So for Physics 1 in Schoology, and I'll show you how to get to that in a minute, it identifies what pieces of that course are associated with each of the standards, and then so you can see that this Physics 1 course, designed to be a first semester, has activities in it designed for everything identified with the semester 1 in DPS sequencing. So we have good overlap there. Before I open up the physics course in Schoology, I'd like to just show you the adaptations sheet that goes along with it. So this is a further breakdown of what we were just looking at with the week 2, week 3, week 6. It identifies which of these activities correspond to each of the standards. Now we're zooming in on a week by week basis, and you'll see how that makes sense when I open up the course. This is a working document. We are working as fast as we can to make this course district-wide usable. And so one of the first things we did was to identify for each week where are there activities in that week that need to be adapted in order to be usable district-wide. So you'll see here that in activity 102 or 103, students are solving a physics puzzle and posting the solution in a Jamboard style post that may need to be adapted. In 1.04, a pendulum lab is used with physical string and a washer. So this like physical string and a washer has been identified as an area where adaptation might need to be made for virtual instruction. And it goes on all the way through all the weeks. Okay, so what do I do with that information? Let's open up that course. And we'll get you the course information so that you can access it. It's actually you'll find it in a group. And there's instructions in this particular group on how to take the information or the resources in any particular group and get them into your course for your physics section. So in this Denver Online course sharing folder, you'll find physics, and here's the physics course shell. So here are those weeks that we were looking at in the last couple sheets, and so within each one of these folders you'll find all of the activities and exercises that a student will be exposed to and some of the quizzes and all that. So each week has a unit overview or a week overview, kind of a high-level picture for teachers and students to see. There'll be some engagement, usually a text. There'll be some quizzes and some activities built in. Some of these are that use platforms that we'll need to make future virtual adaptations for if they're not available district-wide. You can see in here there's lots of videos and instructions for students as they move through. Anyway, you go through this, and when you copy all of these resources over to your course, then you can set it up to have certain progression rules so that students can move through sequentially and have requirements for certain scores or certain actions in order to progress. Okay, so there's the course. Now, what do we do with all of that information? Here's one possibility. Here's one way to internalize that work, so to speak. So the Achievement Network has a curriculum internalization protocol. Some of the language in here is specific to a certain type of unit, but I think it's generalizable enough that you could use it. It's just a sequence of steps for you to think about in order to go through. It follows a lot with the way I just took you through, starting with the standards or with an assessment, going back and then looking through the individual activities, so on and so forth. So there's one tool for you to use. Here's another one specifically used in DPS's Pathways network right now that I thought I'd share with you. Again, you can access it here for the purposes of recording. I'll show it here so I can make it big. This is particularly applicable right now because the pathways considerations typically hinge on the different schedules that students are receiving semester and full year credit for completing work on an accelerated schedule, and with the cohorts and everything that's going on at different schools across DPS right now, you may find yourself in a school that's trying to accomplish a semester's worth of physics in 4 or 5 weeks. So this Pathways internalization protocol makes a lot of sense right now. It identifies some pre-work depending on what your role is, some reflection on the culturally responsive education mindsets, some granularization, what do students need to know and do, and how to use that information, big picture reflection, and then there's a part 2. If you have a community of you working within a school, you can reflect then on those mindsets and orient to the unit's essential learning together so that you can co-construct the work. And then prioritize, backwards plan. Lots of resources in here for getting all that work done, especially collaboratively, culminating in a reflection along with next steps, so that when you do this for the next unit, you can take away lessons learned from your reflection. That gets us through the resources for virtual adaptations for chemistry, physics, and earth science. Again, you do the same type of work for any of those 3 courses. When you've done that, follow the link to the reflection and preparation folder, and there will be a reflection opportunity as well as a mini quiz just to gauge your preparation for using these resources. I'm always available at Douglas_Watkins@dpsk12.net. Please reach out anytime if I can support you, and I look forward to figuring this all out together this year. Have a great day.